And let's start with cutting our petals. I'm going to cut my template and start with larger petal. Have my wafer paper folded in 3 layers, and I just cut around through all these layers. So I have 3 layers of wafer paper and my template. My conditioning method for wafer paper is acetonic, which is glycerin-based wafer paper conditioner, and cornstarch. I'll start with my first petal, and I have 6 here because for our gardenias we would need to have 6 petals. Use my wafer paper conditioner, so I have just a pure brush, clean brush with wafer paper conditioner. I'm applying my wafer paper conditioner, making sure that my petal is saturated enough. And because my climate is a little bit drier today, my wafer paper might need conditioner on both sides just because I'm in a drier climate. And I'll bring my petals here and let's shape them. To shape my petals, I wanted to make sure that they are not sticky. So I'll take my cornstarch and just like the smallest amount possible. I just wanted to prevent my wafer paper petals from sticking to my tools. So I have all my petals bumpy side up here. I'll take my ball tool. Basically what I wanted to do is to give it just a little bit of shape and to make my wafer paper not so flat. What we are trying to do is to cup our petals and give it a little bit of love. I'll start taking one by one of my petals and just giving that a little bit of love on one side. So I'm giving it like this curly shape only on one side. I'm setting them upside down on my former to dry. Let's work on our medium-sized petals. I'm going to shape them 3 at a time as well. But because they are larger, I'm going to apply my wafer paper conditioner on a table. So I'm scraping my brush on the side of my palette. I will apply my wafer paper conditioner on both sides just to give me a little bit extra time to play. And again, I'm taking my petals into my hands and playing around and setting it aside for a second before I can shape it. So first thing I wanted to do before shaping my petals and before applying any cornstarch, I wanted to cut them. But because these petals are a little bit larger, I'm going to cut a little slit here and cross it over. And my petals are facing smooth side up. Then I'll take my ball tool again, take my petal, make sure it's not sticky, and I'm going to cup it and give it a little bit of the same shape as we did for our smaller petals. But because these are larger, I'm being a little bit more mindful of how much pressure I apply. So now what I wanted to do is I'll take my toothpick again, and this is shiny side up. So I wanted to shape my petals in a different ways. I'll start one side up, one side outward. So you can see I'm not moving them the same side. And I'll place them in a petal former or something, any former to give them to have this shape. And I'm not going to do them same way, all of them. I'll start maybe curling inwards, some outwards, just to give them a different shape, all of them. For the large petals, because they are even larger, I'm going to do the same application. And I'm being very mindful about my speed and application of wafer paper conditioner because I wanted to apply a very thin layer of wafer paper conditioner without making my wafer paper melting, but I still wanted it to make soft and flexible. Again, before doing anything, I'm going to cut my petal and cup it first. Then I'll take just a thin layer of cornstarch to prevent my wafer paper from sticking. Then same application. For the large ones, we are going to shape them the same using our toothpick. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to curl all parts inwards. But some petals will get 2 curls like this one. Other petals might get 1 curl here in the middle, like the larger curl inwards. My goal with these petals, with larger petals, is to make them curl inwards to place on our flower later. I'll take a half of my 20 gauge wire. So basically what I do is I make a hook on top of my 20 gauge wire, and then I take a styrofoam ball. This is 20 millimeters or 7/8 inch And I poke a hole, I poke just a little hole on one side, and then I add my hot glue and push my wire into my center. That is how I make my centers. And you can see when your hot glue dries, it's not going to come off. I'm going to have my center here, and I'll bring my petals, my small size petals. We will need 6 of them. And I'll start with my wafer paper glue. So wafer paper glue is basically just melted wafer paper, and it helps to stick wafer paper to wafer paper. So I'll start with my petals, and this is my shiny side, so I'm applying my wafer paper glue on the rough side. And I'm being relatively generous. I just wanted to assemble everything on my styrofoam, and I will apply my wafer paper glue to all of the 6 petals. And then I'll start placing my petals. I wanted my curl to be at the top, so I'll start with my first petal being with my curly part here at the top and hugging my styrofoam ball like this, very gentle. And then I apply all of this on the right side of my first petal. So the second petal goes here. And I'm hugging my styrofoam ball the same, making sure that everything is sticking together. My third petal. And I'm looking at my center. I'm trying to close my center, and I'm trying to make sure that that's what I'm keeping in mind, that my wafer paper will cover my styrofoam center as well. Few more. My fifth petal here. Don't stress very much about your placement, and all I wanted to do is to help this petal, my last petal, to go under my first petal. So I have this complete spiral of wafer paper petals that closed here on the top. So this is going to be my center for my gardenia. For my medium-sized petals, I have 6, and I have my center. I'll do the same. So this is my first layer, this is my second layer, 6 petals. Making sure that I remember the order I applied my wafer paper glue onto. So I'll start with my first one, and I look at my center. So how I go about assembling flowers, I look at my center, and I can tell that right here there is more space than in other places. So probably I wanted to apply 2 petals on this side just to offset my first layer. And I wanted to give him a friend, so I'm going to apply my second petal like almost next to the first one. Then I'll apply my third one, maybe a little bit further away, and maybe 2 more on this side next to each other. The sixth one, I wanted to put it in between these 2, between my first one and between my 5th one. But I wanted to think whether I wanted to move it closer to the first one or closer to the 5th one. Probably closer to the first one, so it's going to go right here. If you wanted to set it upside down to dry for a few seconds, you can. Usually I just make a hook and hang on my lamp or somewhere on my table, and I'll prepare my larger petals. So for my 6 large petals, I'll take my wafer paper glue and apply here at the bottom. Same, I'm just trying to make it sticky. I'm trying to make it melt for a little bit, for a few seconds before I'm going to stick it to my flower. And I'll start with my first larger petal going here, and then I'll continue going in the same direction. So I'm overlapping them, and I'm sticking them here at the bottom where I have my wafer paper glue. Here I have 2 petals close to each other, so I will move my third layer closer to the second one on the third layer and press it down. Then again, just different distances. So I'm doing the same method. I'm assembling my petals in the same order, but I'm giving them different distances in between them. And the last one will go under my first one and over my 5th one, like this, but probably closer to this side. I'm pressing firmly here at the bottom, making sure that my wafer paper is stuck together, I take my flour, and where I can see my petals are touching or being too close to each other, usually I just place a little piece of foam in between different layers to give it more shape or give it a little bit more dimension to make it look more textural. Because when you're making wafer paper flowers and all your petals are same white color and same shape, it's very hard to visually separate them. So now my flower is going to dry upside down in this shape, and I'm going to hang it upside down to dry as well. So for my leaves, I'll start with a piece of wafer paper like this, double thickness, and I want my shiny side of wafer paper be on top. I'll take my brush, and here I have a little bit of wafer paper conditioner. So I'll start with the application of wafer paper conditioner to wire my wafer paper. I'll apply a thin layer of wafer paper conditioner. I'll place my wire here in the middle like this and sandwich with a dry piece or the other piece of wafer paper. And I'll make sure I don't have any air pockets, no bubbles, everything is stuck together very firmly, there is no wet spots, there is no dry spots. So this is my template for my leaves. I want my gardenia leaves to be skinnier and longer, so I'm going to cut it with my scissors on both sides. And for my colors, I have airbrush color. This is forest green in airbrush. And to adjust to that, to mute it down, to make it a little bit more expansive looking color, I have ivory. And I always add ivory or I add black to all my colors when I'm mixing them, because then it will make it even more beautiful, like more mature color when I mix it that with my forest green. Now I have my wafer paper conditioner mixed with 2 shades of airbrush color, which is forest green and ivory. I'll start with the back side. So this is the back side where my wire is a little bit more visible. And I'm applying my wafer paper conditioner with the color as evenly as possible. And I'll do the same on my front side. And for this application for my leaves, I have shiny side of wafer paper up. So this is shiny side of wafer paper. So my brush glides very nicely. And I'm making sure that my wafer paper leaf is fully covered in conditioner on all sides. Because it's a darker shade, I'm going to be very mindful. All I need is to prevent my wafer paper from sticking into my mold, so I would rather apply cornstarch onto my mold and on my leaf as little as possible. So I'll take my veneer, I'll place my petal into my veneer, and this is the back side. So this is where the vein or the wafer paper was wired on that side. So I'm going to place it into my veneer and press with another side of my veneer and hold. But now you can see all these impressions on our wafer paper leaf, how beautiful it is. If you have time, you can leave your wafer paper dry inside your veneer. Usually I don't, because then I wanted to use it again for a different leaf. So gently I'm going to press onto my veneer and take my wafer paper leaf out of my veneer. And I have this imprint, I have this texture on both sides, and then I'm going to put it on a foam pot or something to give it more shape and set it aside. These are our large gardenias, so when they're dry, I usually just like shake them. So you can see I shake them until all my foam things are out, and this is our larger gardenias. And I think these gardenias are beautiful flowers for wedding cakes, especially because of the time-wise. They don't take so long to make, but you can see like even 6 flowers, which you can make within an hour if you're just starting out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. Leave me a comment. What was your favorite technique you learned today?